Hello everybody, and welcome to a quick look at Minecraft Snapshot 14W07A, aka the snapshot that came out on a Friday. So as you can see here, mostly commands this update, but there's still a few things to show off otherwise. First, to start things off, the boring thing, torches are now just rotated when they're on walls instead of having a separate thing. I'm guessing that reduces memory usage slightly, but it also means, I guess, that they kind of stick out like that. I don't think they did before, but I might be wrong. But anyway, on to the most exciting part of this update. You can now make iron trapdoors. They don't have the name in yet, but yeah, it's just like an iron door. You can open it with a button. Can't open it yourself. I'm sure we will see a ton of this in map design and decoration and just everything. I'm all for having new varieties of blocks, so I hope they do more things like that in the future. Now, blaze rods, you now hold them like a stick or a tool, so it's more like you're actually hitting stuff with it, which I think is neat and nice looking. So I'm glad they did that. Also, you might notice that my name is visible above my character. That is obviously a glitch. I don't know if it's new or not. It might be because I added myself to a team. But yeah, so what else? There's you can share to land for spectator only, so I'll show that. So now you can have game mode spectator, so that's really useful for sharing a world if you want to. It's kind of more like, instead of doing a video live stream, you could actually do like a real live stream of gameplay and let people actually join in your world and watch, which that could be interesting. And it was obvious they were going to add that, although I've never actually used the land feature. And now this is probably my favorite update in this entire update. Now look at the bottom of all that text. It says looking at. It's showing the coordinates of whatever block I have highlighted. And if you go too far away, it just vanishes because it's not highlighted. But yeah, this is insanely useful. Just about the most useful thing I can think of that they've added in 1.8 so far. Because there are so many times where I've needed to know the coordinates of a block, and without my mod, I didn't really have a way of checking. So that is just insane and will be so useful for making, command blocks and things. I'm so glad they added that. Other things? Right, you can now bundle a resource pack with a map, so you just put a resources.zip with it in it inside the maps folder. So that's great. So now you can have like an adventure map that has its own resource pack, and it'll be no effort to add. And also, scoreboard objectives, if you add a player that starts with a hashtag, this symbol, then they will not appear in like the sidebar or anything, so you can use them as like score holders and things. Very useful. And last but not least, you can now copy the contents of a special thing. So what I mean by that is, okay, see, look, I have a command block with plus NBT, which means it has code on it. That's something I'll mention later. But now, if you hold Control and then hit your pick block key, that will give you a dispenser that still has it in it. So you can copy command blocks that have their code. And yeah, that's really useful as well. You can duplicate chests, which is insanely useful. And just overall, this is... I mean, I know it's kind of command block focused, but these things are also just insanely useful for general play if you're making stuff using this sort of thing. But anyway, that is enough for the non-command stuff. Let's actually get over here. I'm going to start off with one range. So it says score 34 is in range 10 to 35. Jump again. That's in range. Jump again. And didn't wait long enough, I guess. Oh, it's just not saying it. Okay. But in here it says score 36 is not in range 10 to 35. So yeah, you can now use this. It's ignore this first bit for now, but you do test and then you can put a range and it will tell you if it's in the range, so that's useful. But now to the start, these examples are ones I can't really show off. This one, name tag visibility, hide for other team. So now you can make it where you can't see other players' name tags, so that could be really useful for like stealth. You could have it where you can't automatically see players' name tags. Kind of gets rid of the sneaking part of Minecraft, but still, I think that is a really useful feature, and we'll see it a lot in minigames with teams. Next up, this one I can't really show off either, but first you can see that they were using a hashtag player to hide the scores so that you could use it to combine things. But yeah, you can basically do an operation where you take all of the kills from a team and combine them together into one score. So now you can, actually have a team score and individual scores at the same time quite easily. So that's useful. Now compare, I can't really show it off all that well, but basically you run it and it takes, test for blocks is the command, and there's the things, but basically what it does is it compares a source and a destination to see if they're identical. So you could, for example, want your player to repair a house to a specific setup. So what you do is you have the repaired house somewhere else in the map, and then you compare the one they're repairing to the old one that is already repaired, and if they match, then you do something. So I can see a lot of uses for that in adventure maps. Moving on, another example. This one I really don't understand. Here's the code for it though. It's a test for, and it shows this. But I will just read you what they said about it, which it says, the commands test for block, and clear can now test for partial matches of NBT lists. I'm not quite certain what they mean by that, but that's what the command looks like. I'm sure if you're a map maker you might understand things better. Also, they added this to this actual page, so now you don't have to forget that you can use @e. Next example. Yeah, this is just a selector that tests the rotation of an entity. So that's like rotation x min and max, and then rotation y min and max. So this one would find someone at a very specific rotation, basically between -15 and 15 and -45 and 45. So now you can test if a player is looking at something, basically. So you could have an NPC standing somewhere and you could only have them say something if the player is looking directly at them. So that will really help with immersion and stuff. Jump count. Okay. So this is another useful one, although having to define the player name, I don't know if you have to do that, but that's what the example had. But yeah, now you can include objective scores and things in a message. So now you can say, I have 36 jumps. Now this has to do with the NBT, but look at that. This block says that it executes. Execute is another big one. It does a command as if the whatever is selected did it, and that's the location. But for stuff like that, I don't think it's really relevant. But yeah, so this executes on the nearest player, and it says /me loves cheese. And because I have it right next to there, the power from the button activated it right away. So obviously you could set it up where that wouldn't happen, probably. If you put the button there, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, dispensers now put out command blocks, and you can also /give these command blocks. It's quite nice. So as you can see here, I'll scroll to the beginning, but you just give a command block with block entity tag command and that, and I'm pretty sure there's other things you could do, like you'd probably give yourself something that contains it, but it's not all perfect. I showed you earlier that you can select these. For one thing, it always makes a duplicate whether or not you already have one, but also the ones you /give will have the code, but they do not say the +NBT on them. Because yeah, I placed that one. That's the one I /gave myself from the example code. So still a bit glitchy, but it's early. Now, this next one, I'll join the other team. Notice how jumps disappeared. If I join Team Cheese again, I get my jumps back. That is because you can now have team-based sidebars. So basically how this works is you set the display to sidebar.team and then the team caller, not the name, which is a bit confusing, but so you set it to display jump and then only people on the gold team will see that, and you can remove it just doing that and add it back. So that is pretty dang useful, actually. Now I think that's basically everything in this update. As usual, there's probably a few things I've either missed or haven't been discovered yet. They did apparently tweak the block model format, which is what is used for, you know, like chests and things that aren't just a square with textures on them. I think they made it more limiting, which is a bit bad, but apparently needed to be done. And they fixed some bugs like the hyper zombie pigmen that I saw in my block hoarder series. And you can now kill ender dragons with /kill at E. Apparently that didn't work before, and they fixed /weather clear to actually do the time you specify. They fixed the color of sugarcane so that it depends on biomes again. But other than that, it looks like I've told you about everything, so thank you for watching. This has been Kebab799. Make sure to subscribe to see more. Like this video if you liked it. Comment if you have anything to say. And I will see you in the next episode.